How could a mother abandon 4 children for a vacation with her husband's best friend? That question haunted me every single day for months afterward. But let me start from the beginning, because the truth is always more complicated than it seems. Sarah and I met 12 years ago at a community theater production. She was painting sets, and I was handling the sound booth. I remember the exact moment I fell in love with her. She had paint streaked across her cheek, and she was laughing at something another volunteer had said. Her laugh was infectious, genuine, the kind that made everyone around her smile. We married 2 years later in a small ceremony by the lake. David Chun was my best man. He gave a toast about friendship and forever that had everyone in tears. We built what I thought was a good life together. Not perfect, but solid. We had our first child, Ethan, a year after the wedding. Then came Mia 2 years later. The twins, Caleb and Riley, arrived 4 years ago, turning our house into beautiful chaos. Sarah seemed to take to motherhood naturally at first. She organized playdates, baked elaborate birthday cakes, and kept photo albums that documented every milestone. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. I noticed it about 2 years ago. She became distant, distracted. She'd stare out windows with a faraway look in her eyes. When I asked if everything was okay, she'd snap back to attention and smile that smile that didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. Just tired, she'd say. For kids is exhausting. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? I was tired too. We were both working full-time. I was an accountant at a mid-sized firm, and she worked in marketing at a tech startup. We tag-teamed everything. I'd handle morning routines while she got ready for work. Then she'd take over evenings while I finished up reports. Weekends were a blur of soccer games, grocery shopping, and trying to keep the house from falling apart completely. David was around often. He'd been single for years, never quite finding the right person. He'd come over for dinner, help me fix things around the house, play video games with Ethan. Sarah always seemed brighter when he was around, more like her old self. I was grateful for his presence. It felt like having family nearby. I should have seen it. Looking back now, there were signs. The way Sarah would check her phone constantly and smile at messages she wouldn't share. The new clothes she bought for herself, nicer than anything she'd worn in years. The sudden interest in going to the gym 3 times a week. The way she'd mention David's name in casual conversation, testing the waters, maybe seeing if I'd notice. I didn't notice. Or maybe I didn't want to. Life was comfortable in its chaos. I love my wife. I trusted my best friend. Why would I look for problems that didn't exist? Then came that Wednesday evening. It was late September, still warm enough for the kids to have their swim program at the community center. I left work early to pick them up, something I did every Wednesday. The kids piled into the minivan, wet hair and chlorine smell filling the space. They were chattering about who could hold their breath longest, about the diving board, about the snacks they wanted when we got home. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. A text notification lit up the screen. Sarah's name. I glanced at it while waiting at a red light. We're in Hawaii. Take care of the kids. I read it 3 times. The words didn't make sense. They were arranged in an order that my brain couldn't process. We're in Hawaii. We, not I. We, in Hawaii. Hawaii was 3,000 miles away. Hawaii was where we'd always talked about going for our 10th anniversary, a trip we'd never been able to afford. Dad, the light's green. Ethan's voice from the backseat pulled me back to reality. I drove home on autopilot. The kids kept talking, kept laughing, completely unaware that their world had just shifted on its axis. When we pulled into the driveway, Mia asked the question I'd been dreading. Where's Mom? I thought she was making tacos tonight. I looked at their faces in the rearview mirror. Ethan was 9, old enough to sense something was wrong. Mia was 7, still young enough to believe everything would be okay. The twins were only 4, their identical faces pressed against the window, looking for their mother's car. Mom had to go on a trip for work? I heard myself say. The lie tasted bitter. It was last minute. She'll call later. Inside the house, I went through the motions. I made the tacos, though my hand was shaking so badly I could barely grate the cheese. The kids ate and talked and argued over who got to pick the TV show. I cleaned up the kitchen, helped with homework, supervised bath time, read bedtime stories. Riley asked for the 3rd time where Mommy was. On a work trip, sweetheart. She'll be back soon. But she didn't say goodbye. Riley's bottom lip trembled. She had to leave very early. She didn't want to wake you. Another lie. They were piling up already. After the kids were asleep, I sat in the dark living room and called Sarah's phone. It rang once, then went to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. She declined the call. I sent a text. What's happening? Where are you? The kids are asking for you. No response. I sent another. Sarah, please, talk to me. What's going on? Nothing. I I stared at my phone for 2 hours, willing it to ring, to buzz, to give me any explanation that would make this make sense. The next morning was Thursday. I had to call in sick to work. I couldn't leave the kids, couldn't explain to them why their mother wasn't there to take them to school. I made breakfast, packed lunches, drove them to school. Ethan was quiet, watching me carefully. He knew something was wrong. "Dad, is Mom okay?" he asked as we pulled up to the school. "She's fine, buddy. Just a work thing. Her phone's off. I tried to call her last night. My heart broke a little more. She's probably on a plane. You know how phones have to be off on planes." He nodded, but he didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. That day, I called Sarah 17 times. Every call went to voicemail. I texted her 23 times. I know because I counted later. Not a single response. I checked her bank accounts. She'd withdrawn $3,000 in cash 2 days earlier. I hadn't noticed. Why would I? We'd always trusted each other with money. I called her sister, Jennifer, that evening. "Jen, have you heard from Sarah?" "Sarah? No, not for a week or so." "Why? Is everything okay?" "She's gone. She left a text saying she's in Hawaii. She won't answer my calls." There was a long silence. Hawaii? That doesn't make sense. She didn't mention any trip to me. Did she seem okay when you talked to her? Did she say anything about being unhappy? No, nothing. She seemed normal. Tired maybe, but normal. "Have you called the police?" "And tell them what?" "My wife went on vacation without telling me." "She's not missing. She left deliberately." Jennifer promised to try calling Sarah, to reach out to mutual friends. No one had heard anything. It was like Sarah had vanished in a thin air, except for that one text message that proved she was alive and had chosen to leave. Friday was harder. The kids were asking more questions. Mia cried at breakfast, saying she missed Mommy. The twins kept looking at the door, expecting Sarah to walk through it. I was running on no sleep, my mind spinning through possibilities. Maybe she'd had a breakdown. Maybe she was sick. Maybe something had happened and she couldn't contact me. But that text message, "We're in Hawaii." We? Who was we? On Saturday morning, I took the kids to the park, try to maintain some sense of normalcy. They played on the swings while I sat on a bench, my phone in my hand, checking it every 30 seconds. Other parents were there with their families, mothers and fathers together, and I felt the absence of Sarah like a physical wound. That afternoon, I started looking through our shared cloud account. I don't know what I was looking for. Evidence, maybe. Explanation. I found our family photos first. Birthdays, holidays, ordinary moments. Sarah smiling with the kids. Sarah and me on our last anniversary. We looked happy. Had we been happy? Then I found a folder I didn't recognize. It was labeled travel plans. My heart started pounding as I opened it. Inside were confirmations for a resort in Maui. The Wailea Beach Resort. 2 rooms. Check-in date, the day she disappeared. Check-out date, 5 weeks later. 5 weeks. She planned to be gone for 5 weeks. 2 names on the reservation. Sarah Mitchell and David Shun. David, my best friend David. The man who'd been at our wedding, who'd held Ethan when he was a newborn, who'd helped me install the swing set in our backyard. David, who'd borrowed $5,000 from me last year to help with his mother's medical bills. David, who'd been at our house just 2 weeks ago, eating the dinner Sarah had cooked, playing with our children. I sat there staring at the screen until Caleb tugged on my sleeve. Daddy, I'm hungry. I fed them. I gave her baths. I read stories. I tucked them in. Riley whispered to me as I was leaving her room, "Daddy, did Mommy forget about us?" I knelt beside her bed, smoothing her hair back from her forehead. "No, sweetheart. Mommy could never forget about you. She loves you very much." Then why isn't she here? Sometimes grown-ups have to go away for a little while. But I'm here. I'll always be here. She seemed satisfied with that answer, but I wasn't. I wasn't satisfied with anything. That night, after the kids were asleep, I did something I'm not proud of. I logged into Sarah's email account. We'd shared passwords years ago, back when we had nothing to hide from each other. I hadn't looked at her email in years, but the passwords still worked. What I found made everything clear and so much worse. Months of emails between Sarah and David. It started innocently enough. Work stress, complaints about being tired, feeling unappreciated, David being sympathetic, understanding. Then the messages became more frequent, more intimate. They were meeting for coffee, for lunch, for drinks after work. 3 months ago, the tone changed. "I can't stop thinking about you. This feels so right. I wish we could just run away together." And then 6 weeks ago, "Let's do it. Let's really do it. Just for a while. Just to see what it could be like." They planned it all. Sarah had requested unpaid leave from her job. David had done the same. They'd booked the resort. They'd created a whole fantasy where they could pretend to be a couple without responsibilities, without 4 children who needed their mother, without a husband who trusted them both. The last email, sent the day before she left, was from David. "Tomorrow we start our adventure. I can't wait to wake up next to you in paradise." I closed the laptop and sat in the dark. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left just a shell. The next morning was Sunday. The kids wanted to go to the park again. Normal routine. Keep everything normal. At the park, I ran into Marcus, another dad from Ethan's school. His wife was with him, pushing their toddler on the swing. "Hey, where's Sarah?" Marcus asked. "Word trip," I said automatically. "For how long?" "A few weeks." His wife, Christina, looked concerned. "That's a long time. Must be hard managing everything on your own." "We're doing okay." But we weren't okay. Ethan had started having nightmares. Mia had become clingy, crying whenever I left the room. The twins kept asking when mommy was coming home, and I kept lying, saying soon, saying next week, saying she missed them. On Monday, I had to go back to work. I couldn't take any more sick days without raising questions. I arranged for the kids to go to before and after school care, something we'd never needed before because Sarah's schedule had been flexible. The twins went to daycare full-time. The cost was astronomical, but what choice did I have? Work was impossible. I sat at my desk staring at spreadsheets that made no sense. My boss, Patricia, called me into her office. "Is everything all right? You seem distracted. Family issues." "I'm handling it. If you need time off, we can arrange something." I'm fiending. Really? But I wasn't fine. I was drowning. Every morning was a battle to get 4 kids ready and out the door. Every evening was homework and dinner and baths and bedtime. The house was a disaster. Laundry piled up. Dishes sat in the sink. I was surviving on coffee and rage. 2 weeks in, Sarah's mother called. Margaret had always been kind to me, treating me like a son. "Sweetheart, I just heard from Jennifer that Sarah's away. Is everything okay?" I made a decision in that moment. No more lies. "Margaret," Sarah left. "She's in Hawaii with David Chun. She's been gone for 2 weeks. She won't answer my calls." The silence on the other end was deafening. Then, quietly, "David? Your friend David?" "Yes." "Oh my God, the children. How are the children?" "Confused. Hurt. They keep asking for her." "I'm coming down. I'll be there tomorrow. You shouldn't be handling this alone." Margaret arrived the next day and burst into tears when she saw the state of the house and the dark circles under my eyes. She took over immediately, cooking meals, doing laundry, helping with the kids. Having her, there was a lifeline. "I don't understand," she said one evening after the kids were in bed. "Sarah always wanted to be a mother. It was all she talked about when she was younger." "People change," I said bitterly. "Not like this. Not abandoning your children. There has to be more to it." "There isn't. She chose herself over them. Over us." 3 weeks in, I hit my breaking point. I was exhausted, angry, and terrified. What if Sarah never came back? What if she decided she liked her new life better? I needed to protect my children. I needed to make sure they had stability, security. I made an appointment with a family lawyer, Catherine Morrison. Her office was downtown, decorated with photos of happy families. The irony wasn't lost on me. I told her everything. The text message, the emails, the 5-week vacation, David, the complete absence of contact. Catherine listened carefully, taking notes. When I finished, she looked at me with sympathy and determination. "This is child abandonment," she said. Clear cut. She left without notice, without making arrangements for their care, and she's been gone for 3 weeks with no contact. What can I do? File for emergency custody. Document everything. Every meal you make, every school drop-off, every doctor's appointment. Keep receipts. Take photos. Build a record that shows you're the primary caregiver and she's absent. Will it work? Unless she has a very good explanation for her absence. Yes. The courts don't look kindly on parents who abandon their children. I filed the paperwork that afternoon. Emergency custody petition. I listed every single thing I'd done for the kids in the past 3 weeks. Margaret helped me organize receipts and create a timeline. We took photos of the kids' homework that I'd helped with, the meals I'd cooked, the bedtime routines I'd maintained. It felt wrong, building a case against my wife, the mother of my children. But she'd left me no choice. She'd abandoned them. She'd chosen a fantasy with my best friend over the family we'd built together. Week 4 was when things got really hard. Riley had started wetting the bed, something she hadn't done in over a year. Mia's teacher called to say she'd been acting out in class. Ethan had gotten into a fight at school, something he'd never done before. The twins were confused and angry, throwing tantrums over nothing. I took them to a child psychologist, Dr. Sandra Reeves. She met with each of them individually, then called me in. "They're traumatized," she said bluntly. "Their mother disappeared without explanation. That's abandonment trauma. They need stability, consistency, and therapy. Can you help them?" "I can try, but the best thing for them would be answers. Do they know where their mother is?" I told them she's on a work trip. "They don't believe you. Children are perceptive. They know something's wrong. At some point, you'll need to tell them the truth in an age-appropriate way." "How do I tell them their mother chose to leave them?" "We'll work on that together. But first, we need to help them feel safe again." I started bringing the kids to therapy twice a week. It was expensive and time-consuming, but I'd do anything to help them heal. Meanwhile, I kept documents, photos of school lunches I packed, videos videos of bedtime stories I read, receipts for new shoes, school supplies, groceries. I was building an ironclad case. Margaret was a godsend. She'd extended her stay indefinitely, sleeping in the guest room, helping with everything. One evening, she said something that stuck with me. I failed her somehow. I must have. I raised her to be better than this. This isn't your fault, Margaret. She's my daughter. I should have seen she was struggling. I should have helped her before it got to this point. She made her choice. She's an adult. This is on her. But part of me wondered if Margaret was right. Had there been signs I'd missed? Had Sarah been crying out for help in ways I didn't hear? Or was I just making excuses for inexcusable behavior? 5 weeks after she left, my phone exploded with calls. Unknown numbers, over and over. Then texts. Where are the kids? I'm back. We need to talk now. Answer your phone. I'll let it ring. I wasn't ready. I didn't know what to say. Finally, I answered a video call. Sarah's face filled the screen. She was tan, her hair lighter from the sun, looking rested and relaxed. She looked like she'd just come back from a vacation of a lifetime, which I suppose she had. Finally, where are the kids? Why aren't they answering their phones? Her voice was irritated, like I was the one being unreasonable. They're at school, I said coldly. School? It's 3 o'clock. They should be home by now. They're in after-school care, where I had to enroll them when her mother abandoned them. Abandoned? Don't be dramatic. I told you I needed time away. You sent a text message and disappeared for 5 weeks. You didn't call. You didn't check on them. You didn't answer any of my messages. I needed space. I needed to figure things out. You needed space? What about what the kids needed? Riley's wetting the bed again. Mia's acting out at school. Ethan got into a fight. The twins are in therapy. But sure, you needed space. Her face changed, a flicker of something. Guilt? Shame? It was gone too quickly to tell. I'm their mother. I have a right to see them. You were their mother, I said, my voice ice. Now you're just the woman who left them. You don't get to talk to me like that. I'm coming to get them. No, you're not. Excuse me. I filed for emergency custody 3 weeks ago. You'll be served with papers tomorrow. If you want to see the kids, you'll do it through the court system. Her face went white, then red. You did what? I protected our children. Something you should have been doing. This is insane. You can't keep me from my own kids. I'm not keeping you from them. You kept yourself from them when you chose to run off to Hawaii with David. How is David, by the way? Did he enjoy his 5-week vacation? She ended the call. My phone immediately started ringing again. I blocked her number. The next day, a lawyer called. Sarah had hired representation. They wanted to arrange a meeting to discuss custody arrangements. My client is willing to return to the family home and resume her parental duties, the lawyer said. Catherine, my lawyer, laughed. After abandoning her children for 5 weeks? I don't think so. We'll see her in court. The court hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. In the meantime, Catherine arranged supervised visitation. Sarah could see the kids for 2 hours, twice a week, with a social worker present. I had to tell the kids. Ethan, Mia, Caleb, and Riley sat on the couch while I knelt in front of them. Your mom is back from her trip. She wants to see you. The reactions were mixed. The twins were excited, bouncing up and down. Mia looked uncertain. Ethan looked angry. Where was she? Ethan asked. She was in Hawaii. For 5 weeks? What kind of work trip is 5 weeks? I took a breath. It wasn't a work trip. Your mom needed time away. She should have told you. She should have called. She made a mistake. A mistake. Ethan's voice was sharp. She left us. She didn't even say goodbye. I know, buddy. I know. And we're going to talk about all of this. But right now, she wants to see you, and I think you should see her if you want to. I don't want to, Ethan said. You don't have to. It's your choice. The first visitation was awkward and painful. Sarah showed up with gifts. Expensive toys, new clothes, things she'd bought in Hawaii. The twins were easily won over, climbing into her lap, telling her they'd missed her. Mia was hesitant, but eventually warmed up. Ethan sat in the corner, arms crossed, refusing to engage. Ethan, honey, don't you want to see what I brought you? Sarah asked. No, please, baby. I missed you so much. You didn't miss us. If you missed us, you wouldn't have left. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. The social worker intervened, suggesting they take a break. After the visitation, Ethan came to me. Dad, do we have to see her? Only if you want to. The court says she gets to see you, but you're old enough to have a say. I don't want to. She hurt us. She hurt you. I know, but she's still your mom. Maybe someday you'll want a relationship with her again. Maybe, but not now. The court hearing was brutal. Sarah's lawyer painted her as a devoted mother who'd had a mental health crisis and needed a break. My lawyer presented evidence of abandonment, the lack of contact, the pre-planned vacation, the affair with David. The judge listened to both sides, then spoke directly to Sarah. Mrs. Mitchell, you left your children for 5 weeks without notice or contact. Can you explain your reasoning? Sarah stood, her voice shaking. I was overwhelmed. I felt like I was drowning. I needed time to remember who I was before I was a mother. And you couldn't have arranged for proper care? Couldn't have discussed this with your husband? I knew he'd try to stop me. I knew he wouldn't understand. Did you consider what your absence would do to your children? Silence. Mrs. Mitchell, I asked you a question. I thought they'd be fine. I thought a few weeks wouldn't matter. You thought wrong. I'm granting primary custody to Mr. Mitchell. You'll have supervised visitation until you complete parenting classes and therapy. We'll revisit in 6 months. Sarah sobbed. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder. I felt no satisfaction in her pain, only a deep sadness for what we'd lost. The months that followed were about healing. The kids continued therapy. Margaret stayed with us for 3 more months before finally going home, though she visited every few weeks. I scaled back my hours at work, prioritizing the kids over my career. Sarah attended her visitations sporadically at first, then more regularly. She and David had broken up within days of returning from Hawaii. Apparently, reality didn't match the fantasy. She got an apartment, started therapy, and slowly tried to rebuild relationships with the kids. Riley and Caleb forgave her first. They were young enough that the memory of her absence faded quickly. Mia took longer, but eventually started staying overnight at Sarah's apartment. Ethan held out the longest. It took almost a year before he'd have a real conversation with her. One day, about 14 months after she'd left, Sarah asked to meet me for coffee. I almost said no, but something made me agree. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe, the silence awkward. "I'm sorry," she said finally. "I'm so sorry for what I did. There's no excuse. No, there isn't. I was selfish. I was running from responsibilities I'd chosen. I hurt the people I love most in the world." "Why, Sarah? Why did you do it?" She was quiet for a long time. I felt invisible, like I'd disappeared into being a wife and mother, and there was nothing left of me. I looked at David and saw freedom. I saw a chance to be just Sarah again, not someone's mom or someone's wife. "So you ran." So I ran, and I realized too late that being their mom is part of who I am. It's not something I can just take a vacation from. I destroyed our family for a fantasy that lasted exactly 3 days before I realized what I'd done. 3 days. That's when I knew I'd made a mistake. But I was too ashamed to come back, too scared to face what I'd done. So I stayed and pretended everything was fine while my children were hurting. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to forgive her. Part of me never could. "The kids are doing better," I said finally. "They're healing because of you. You stepped up. You were there when I wasn't. I'm their father. It's what fathers do. It's what parents do. And I failed at that." We talked for another hour. It didn't fix anything. It didn't change what had happened. But maybe it was a start towards something. Not reconciliation. That ship had sailed. But maybe toward a place where we could both be good parents to our kids, even if we couldn't be partners anymore. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. We split custody, though the kids primarily lived with me. Sarah got them every other weekend and 1 evening a week. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. David sent me a letter about a year after everything happened. He apologized, said he'd been selfish and stupid, said he understood if I never wanted to speak to him again. He was right. I didn't. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. 2 years after Sarah left, I'm sitting in the same minivan, picking up the kids from the same swim program. They pile in, wet and happy, arguing about who swam faster. Ethan is 11 now, Mia is 9, and the twins just turned 6. "Dad, can we get pizza tonight?" Caleb asks. "Sure, buddy. Is Mom coming over?" Riley wants to know. "Not tonight. You'll see her this weekend." They're okay with that. They've adjusted to the new normal. They love both their parents, even if they don't understand everything that happened. Maybe someday I'll tell them the whole story. But for now, they know enough that people make mistakes, that families can break and rebuild in new shapes, that love sometimes means staying when it's hard. As for me, I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can handle more than I imagined. That being a father isn't something you do when it's convenient. It's who you are every single day, no matter what. And I learned that trust, once broken, is almost impossible to repair. Sarah and I are civil now. We co-parent effectively, but we'll never be friends. We'll never be more than 2 people who once loved each other and created 4 beautiful children together. The kids are my priority now, making sure they feel loved, secure, and valued. Making sure they know that no matter what, I'll never leave them. That's the promise I make every single day, and it's one I'll keep for the rest of my life. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe for more real-life stories about family, relationships, and the complicated choices we all face.